Okay, in this session, we are going to know about the performing the calculator operation using custom controller. Here, what are the calculator operations? Here, for example, addition. Addition is a one operation. See this one. In this case, addition is a one operation. Subtraction is a one operation. Division, multiplication, modulus, so many. That means now I am going to go designing a simple calculator. The simple calculator consists of addition, multiplication, division, as well as a subtraction. Four operations, simple calculator. If it is a scientific calculator, it's having so many different modulus operations like that. Here, how can you designing these operation by using custom controller? Here, what is exactly controller here? In the previous session, you discussed about the different controllers. Here, what are the different controllers? You have the different controllers you have. Here is a standard controllers, custom controllers, extension controllers. Here, you know, standard controller, built, the free built visual force controller by the Salesforce. That's called here standard controller. Here the syntax for the standard controller like this. Here what is the syntax in this standard controller? Apex, page, standard controller. The standard controller equal to account. Here you have a list of standard controllers are there. Account. You have this list of standard controller. Here, this list of standard controllers are there. Account, asset, contract, idea, lead, opportunity. These are all objects created by the Salesforce. These are all objects created by the Salesforce. If you want to design your own logic or business logic, if you want to implement your back-end business logic by using custom controllers. Here, what are the custom controller in this case? The custom controller, when you developer need more customized functionality. When a developer need a more customized functionality, then only you go to their own Apex controller class. Here you will write your own Apex controller class. That class you call it as a simple class, you call it as a custom controller. By using that class, you will implement your own methods. Here, how can you, the syntax for the custom controller appears like this. Here, what is the syntax in this case? The, here, Apex, page controller, the custom controller. Here, in this case, the custom controller is a name of the controller. That means name of the Apex class. The custom controller in this case here is a name of the Apex class. That is a simple information about the custom controller. Here, by using this custom controller, I am going to designing the page like this. Here, in this page, you have a two different fields are there. Verify these fields here. Here, you have a two different fields are there. One is a, for example, value 1, value 2. For example, enter number 1, enter number 2. Or number 1, let us assume number 1, number 2, and then there is a result format is there. That means displaying the number. For example, I am entering the number 1 and then in the second place 10. For example, I am going to adding some calculator. The calculator addition. Click addition. That means you are going to performing the calculator operations. Here, how you are performing this calculator operation by using Salesforce. You will implement this by using Salesforce.com. How can you enter into the Salesforce.com? Everyone should create a Salesforce ID sending. Here, how can you enter into the Salesforce.com? How can you enter into the Salesforce.com? By login.salesforce.com. Here, I'm going to creating a two important things, Sandy. What are the two important things here? In this case, one is I'm going to implementing the controller. The first, I'm going to implementing the visual force page. After that, I am going to implementing the controller page. Here, how can you implementing the visual force page here? Here, for implementing the visual force page, I already explained in 4 different ways you will develop in the visual force page. Here, that means first way here, I'm going to creating the controller. That's why go to home. There you will type here apex slash, for example, the name of the visual force page calculator. For example, calculator, for example, 5 or calculator 7. Let us assume calculator 7. Click on calculator 7, and then here it will create the calculator 7 does not exist. Create page calculator 7. Yeah, you will create the page here. Here there is a icon is there. Click on this icon. You will identify the code for the this one. That means already predefined code is there. Apex code. Here, what are the things I need to do here? I'm going to creating the calculator. The calculator, I'm going to creating the calculator. Here, the calculator consists of what are the items here? For example, I'm going to implementing this calculator by using page blocks. Here, for example, you require some form. Why? Because you need to give some input values. Here, you have to give input values. For example, if you comes to the page consists of number 1, number 2, and then their results are there. That means you have to give some input and output values. That's why you require some form. How can you create the form? Apex slash form. Here, if you click on this form, it will, that means under the form, you will write some input values, input tags. That means what are the input tags here? The first one is a number 1, number 2, and then result. Number 1, number 2, results. Here, number 1, for example, let us take, I'm taking this one as a, here, I'm taking this information in a page block section. Here, apex colon, that means that is a design part, no need to consider that one. For example, number 1, let us assume number 1. Here, number 1 is a input value. Here, what are the input values here? That means number 1, I am giving the 10. For example, the input value I am taking, that is a input text. Input text. Here, the text I am taking here is a, for example, I am taking the ID. Here, what is the ID in this case? ID equal to, for example, let us assume K. If you execute with this one, yeah, its results gives like this. Number 1. What is the number 1? Let us take 5. That means this is a way. And then similarly, we are going to creating the number 2. Number 2. Let us assume number 2. What is the number 2 value here? Apex colon input text. Input text. Here the input text equal to ID. I am taking the ID value for this one. For this one, apex colon input text. From here only we will take. Here you will take the ID value. ID equal to something. You may write any ID. Here that means if you execute this one, you have given a 2 numbers. Yeah, number 1. That means you require some break. If you need some break, br slash break. The next number 1, and then number 2. That means in this way, that means you require some results here. Here, how can you get the result in this case? The value 1, value 2, and then required some result. before that result here, you have to form that entire information. That means you have to design some functionality here. The functionality in this case, what are the functionality you have to take that value. Here you have to create under the form, you have to create the page block. Here, how can you create the page block here? Apex colon page block. Here the page block is there. Yeah, you have a page block. Under the page block, you have a page block section is there. Here there is a page block section, apex colon page block section. Here under the page block section, there is a page block item. You may write the page block item for each and every item. You may write the apex colon page block item. Here this is a page block item. Here under this item, that means for each and every one, you have a one item is there. For example, input value. Here for number one is a input value. One, you may write one item. Number two, input value. You may write one item. For example, I'm going to writing the this one, and then the next item here. For example, another item, apex colon page block item. Here under this item, I'm going to writing a one element. Under this item, I'm going to writing the one element. That element equal to number 2. Number 2. Here already completed the number 1 and then number 2. Yeah, you completed that task also. Here if you execute this one, you will have the page block. Under the page block, you have a, you not having the more than, okay, more than 2 child components. Yeah, you will place the radio button here. After that, I need to get the result value. Here, what are the result? In this case, I am for the result also, I am taking as a output value. That means, for example, the result here I am taking as a input and output value. Here, that is a result I am taking. Result is a one type of input text. Here, that input text, if you execute this one, the total information appears. That means there is a reference call. Okay, that means removing this one, execute this one. Yeah, the information appears like this. That means for our design, for our case, you design like this. Here, what are the design here? For example, I am typing 5, I am typing 6. You need to, if you get the addition, you need to get the result. For getting the result here, you require some simple button. That means I need to get the result in this result input box. For getting the result in input box, what is the need here? You require some button. Here you may take the button, any button here. For example, I am taking the button as a simple button. Here one button, that's button equal to as a submit button. Here for this one, I am taking the simple under the page block. Under the page block, under these items, I'm going to writing a simple, after page block also you may put the simple button. I'm taking the simple button. Here the find button, find the value. I'm going to remove this value. Okay, find this value, execute this one. Okay, page reference status information is there. Okay, for this one, I am removing this one, page reference also. is simply I am taking the a simple button. Here, that means if you want to execute this button, you required some controller. Here, for example, you require this one. I'm going to remove here. You require some controller action. Here, what are the action here? Yeah, execute this one. After executing, that means this is a calculator design. I think ma, is it okay? Anyone? Yeah, this is a calculator design. Here, for example, I'm typing 5 here. I'm typing 6 here. That means if you take the addition, you need to get the result. You need to get the result in a result box, but not getting that result. Here, I need to get a background action. That means you have to implement the background knowledge or background action. Your background information implemented by using controller. That means that is called here custom controller. How can you implement the custom controller? That means by taking the Apex class. Here, go to, that means how can you create the Apex class here? Go to setup, go to setup, go to setup. Under the setup, you have a build option is there. Under the build, there is a develop button is there. Click on Apex class. Click on Apex class. Here, I am going to implementing the new Apex class. Here, new, if you click on new, then you are going to implementing the Apex class. Here, how can you implementing the Apex class in this case? Here, there is a value here. That means the class you are implementing by using just like a Java class, whatever may be the operations. You are writing Java class in that way. You will write the Java Apex class. Here, I am writing the Apex class like this. Here, for example, public static void main, and then you have a value one. Here, value one for what purpose I am taking? Number one. Value two, what purpose I am taking? Number two. And then what are the result here? I'm taking the this particular result, and then the for calling the function, performing the operation, I am taking the one function. The function you call it as a this function, and then this is a constructor for this particular class, and then here I am implementing the our logic here. Here, what is the logic here? If function equal to add, if function equal to add, what about the add here? Add is a radio button. The result equal to value 1 plus value 2. Else, the function equal to subtract, sub. The result equal to value 1 minus value 2. Else, if function equal to division, value divided by this one. That means we may implement the multiplication or division operations. This is a sample 5. That means save this one, save this Apex class. Yeah, it is saved, executed successfully, and then create a class as a sample file. Here, take this class, take this class. That means I'm going to implementing that class information here. Here, that means that I am going to implementing the standard controller. Here, what are the controller here? The controller here is a standard controller. Simply, I'm taking the standard controller. In this case, sample 5. Whatever may be the class name, that class name you are writing as a standard controller. Yeah, save it. Save this one. Okay, I saved this one. After that, you have to implement the business logic here. That means I am taking the value one, the particular value one, where you are getting value one in input box. Here, that means in the number one, here you will take the value one. Here, what is the particular value input box? For example, in this case, the value one equal to, yeah, value equal to value 1. Here in this case, the another attribute you are having. Here, what is another attribute? Value is an attribute. Here, in that value attribute, I am taking the value 1. In the function, whatever may be the information you wrote, that information you copy and then paste here. Yeah, that is a value 1. Here, simply I am taking the value, the expression syntax. Calculator 7 method must formula expression in a single controller variable. See this one, apex input text. Okay, if you having some button in this case, remove this one and then take a two more elements under the section. Two more elements here under this section. It's having some error. That's why I'm taking two more elements here. Here, value 1, value 2. Yeah, if you execute this one, yeah, value 1 and then value 2, that's having certain value. Here, for example, write this one, 5 and then 6. A required addition is a required that value, but I cannot get that value. Why I am not get that value? I need to implement that business logic in a result. I need to implement the business logic in a find also. Here comes here. I'm going to implementing business logic in a here the selection operator. In this case, the layout value. I'm going to implementing the business logic here. Here, that means here we will use a value button. For example, I am taking the value button. Yeah, what is the value button here? The function I am calling. The value here is a function. Here, where is the function? That function here. If it comes to the class consists of string function. From the string function, you will get the value. And then not only for the radio button, you need to implementing for the result also. Here, how can you implementing the result? That information, that means you have to get the information from the result. You need to get the result information. Yeah, I'm going to get that result information. Here, how can you get that result information? For example, I am writing only simply that information. Here, the information equal to result. Here, I am taking the result value equal. That means this is called here action method. The action method implemented by using flower brackets. Within a flower bracket, you will implement the action method. This is a action method. I think everyone clear? Here, for example, number 1. Yeah, execute this one. Here, after executing this information, for example, I am typing 5, I am typing 6. Here, I am going to get the result like this. Here, find the result. Yeah, the 5, 6, not getting any result here. That means you have to take some findings. Yeah, and then you have to apply the for the finding button also. You have to implement that logic for the finding button. Here, how can you implementing that finding button? Yeah, this is a find button. I did not get any information for this find button. Here, that means I'm going to take the action as a find. Here, this find is a method of the class. Here, this find is a method of the class. For this method, I'm going to write in. Yeah, if you execute this one, 5, 6, let us take value as a 5 plus 6. Here, get the result 11. Yes, that means in this way you will implement the calculator. I think everyone is it clear?